Hmm.
Hi, Shobha.
Oh God. Hi.
I'm Nivedita in conversation with Shobha Nargondkar. And I've known Shobha for the last 7 years, 2013, June.
Mhm.
So tell me more about yourself, Shobha, that I don't know. I know that you are a
Well,
radical forgiveness life coach, master life coach, huh? Psychotherapist, hypnotherapist. Um,
radical forgiveness coach first, and then radical living master coach,
wow.
which include radical manifestation, radical empowerment, and a
Which
few other
includes
things.
a one-on-one visit with Colin Tipping.
Yeah.
So
That was the highlight.
that, yeah. And also an Access Bars facilitator currently.
Latest addition. Yes.
You have a lot of workshops lined up in www.yellowbutterfly.in,
Mhm.
which I made for you and
Yeah,
your
it's
daughter.
like a lot of things are because of you, and I'm here also because of you. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think the yellow butterfly, the access, the lot of things are because of you, and
Because I
probably
was
that.
sitting in your chair receiving therapy from you, and today I'm in a space where I am. Thank you.
Mm, you're welcome.
So,
It's a win-win.
you started with Heal Your Life. I know the
Yeah,
story, but I'd like the viewers to know the story.
yeah. I started in. I attended my first workshop in 2002. That was "You Can Heal Your Life," uh, and I attended it because not out of curiosity, but because I needed something. At that point in time, I was really uh, down in all areas of my life, and this came up. This came to me in a very today. What can I would call it a very what's the word I'm looking in a very organic way. I mean, it just came as though it was meant for me and I had to do it, kind of thing. And I think that it um, that 2 day workshop with Shailaja, it totally changed the way I look at life, and probably that's why I'm here today. I don't know what path I would have taken if that hadn't happened. Yeah, what do you want to know about it? You're muted, I think.
How did you get into radical forgiveness?
Yeah, radical
One thing led
forgiveness.
to another. How did you follow the energy of where you were meant to be at that time? How
Uh,
was your choice?
yeah, follow the energy. That's the word I was looking for. Yes. Yeah, so I didn't have to do much there because I was doing this Heal Your Life with Shailaja, and after the 2 day workshop, we started the study group. She started, which was meeting once a week and exploring each area of our life deeper, like deservability or fears or money or relationships and things like that. So as part of that, as we went along towards the end of that, she added a few more things that she had learned. One of which was radical forgiveness. So we just touched upon it a little bit, the worksheet or a few things like that. But I think that really resonated with me, the whole radical forgiveness idea, and I latched onto it, I guess, in a follow the energy kind of way. I didn't know I was doing that. It's just that uh, one thing led to another, and I read the book. Then I started the book studies for that, which was very interesting. Then I started seeing, talking to clients as well. Although I was technically not anything at that point in time, I was just assisting Shailaja. But I was enjoying that. So through that process, I actually realized what I enjoyed doing and what I had probably some sort of gift for doing, which until that point I didn't feel like working
Knowledge.
in any of the regular work that people were doing, or which I also tried to do, like marketing or finance, or which were the cool things to do at that point in time, which I had no interest or even aptitude in. I felt I was really bored, and I used to think I'm not good at any of that stuff. So I had no clue what I would ever do in my life, which actually fell into place as I explored this. Because by myself, I don't think I would have gone into this kind of work. But because I needed it, I went there. And as I did more of that, I realized that the biggest thing that I realized was it was helping me feel good or better about myself than I'd ever felt before. Till then, I thought I was like a total misfit in this world, and I had no aptitude and no nothing for anything that people looked up to or thought anything worthwhile. So once I started feeling better about this, I realized this is something that can help everybody, or everybody needs it in one way or the other, although everyone doesn't um,
Use it.
realize it like I did till I actually needed it badly. Yeah. So that's another thing I think people don't, a lot of people don't get into thinking differently until they get a really big whack on the head. So
Yeah.
small signals we don't take, uh, which if we did, I think our life would be much easier, much earlier than it does.
Mm.
So same for me too. But I guess we also need to go through some life experiences in order to get it also. So
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, not nothing wrong about that. It's just that
So when did you certify yourself in radical forgiveness as a coach? And how can one do that?
yeah, it's a online. I mean, it's based in Atlanta, or it was based in Atlanta. I don't know the uh,
Current
latest
scenario.
scenario because Colin Tipping died last year, and he's handed over the reins to somebody called Godfrey, who's based in South Africa. So that transition is still happening, but I think there is a website still, so you can go and check. There are a lot of online courses which might be just continuing the way they are right now,
Yeah.
or there might be some changes happening. But yeah, it will continue.
So what is the work that how can radical forgiveness help if somebody is looking for something and to start with something? There is Heal Your Life, yes, then there is radical forgiveness. There are a lot of tools on the website also, like the worksheet and things like that. Can you tell a little more about radical forgiveness?
Yeah, yeah. So, so I got introduced to the idea of forgiveness with "You Can Heal Your Life," where you talk about letting go of the stuff that you're holding about other people. It's not so much about uh, condoning what other people are doing or telling them it's okay. It's more about what you're holding about other people, which is affecting you. It affects you mentally, physically, spiritually, in all ways. It stops you from having the energy to do other stuff because you need a lot of energy to hold on to grudges and whatever you have against resentments against other people. So that was my first introduction where I realized that forgiveness means actually just letting go of what you are thinking or what you are holding against other people. It has nothing to do with other people as much. So it's like giving yourself the freedom to create what you want instead of worrying about what other people did to you. So that was interesting in itself, the concept of forgiveness for me at that time, and it also helped a lot. But radical forgiveness took it even one step or many steps further. It was a totally different way of looking at it. Um, so what happens in radical forgiveness through the process? There are many tools through which you can process your feelings. So the idea is whatever you're upset about, whatever you need to forgive somebody else for or yourself for, you start with that upset. That's the beginning point. Obviously, that's when you want to forgive, when you have a problem with somebody or something. And starting from there, it's a five step process. but the end point is where you reach a point of uh, understanding that whole situation in a totally from a totally different perspective. So you start from your victim story, so to say, where you're a victim, and you end up feeling gratitude for the other person or the situation itself, because there's so much, because you realize that whatever happened for you. So in simple terms, radical forgiveness is changing your perspective from thinking that something happened to you to a place where you start realizing that it happened for you and not to you. So it's not something wrong happened, but it's something, some divine perfection happened.
Or what is so
So
right about that
yeah, so you realize that it happened for a reason, and it was for you. It was not working
against?
against you,
Yeah, yeah.
and therefore you actually come to a place of gratitude to that person for actually doing that to you, what you thought they were doing to you. So which is a
So
very,
from a
so
space of to you, we move to for you.
yeah, and it's very uh, it's a very beautiful process because it shifts the energy. So by the time you complete the worksheet, which has 5 stages, or any other tool, there's a Satori game, or there are workshops, or there. So by the end of it, you feel your energetic shift.
Yeah.
Although it's a cognitive process, so that in that way, it's a very unique tool, because otherwise, most of the time we categorize our tools in therapy as cognitive or non-cognitive kind of thing. So this is a nice blend of both. It's a cognitive tool, which means a lot of people are okay to work with it, because other people who don't believe in meditation or hypnotherapy or woo-woo kind of stuff, they're willing to do this because it's a worksheet and you can do it with pen and paper. And yet it shifts the energy of it. So it's like you're um, telling them it's cognitive if they don't want to hear that it's energetic, and yet you're able to shift the energy, which is which is very good.
My first time with you in a session was experiencing past life regression, and I had no clue about what past life regression was. And I had come for some allergies and depression and stuff like that. And after one session, it just felt so good, like working with the subconscious mind and all that. So you also work with past life regression. How did you get
Yeah.
into that?
Well, past life regression is just one part of the hypnotherapy that we do. So people think past life regression is something totally different, which it is in a way, but it was just part of therapy. So when we are talking about hypnotherapy, yeah, how I got into it is thanks to my mentor, Anita Rajnarayan. She's based in Bangalore now. She's also a fantastic therapist. She's also done a lot of different stuff. But I think hypnotherapy and is one of her main things, and she's really good. So yeah, so she was one of the instrument. She was also instrumental in my doing the Heal Your Life in the first place. She was the one who
Okay.
introduced us to Shailaja, so she's been watching me since then. So and so from time to time she tells me, uh, do this or do that. That will be good for you, kind of thing. So hypnotherapy is also. I was doing only radical forgiveness at that point in time, and it was a bit slow uh, because radical forgiveness I was just starting off and working from home and things like that. And so at that time, she told me that I should do hypnotherapy, and that will really help my business also, because it's very effective and you can see result end of each session. You can have a measurable kind of difference in the person, and the person can also feel it immediately, and that would help
Yeah.
business also. So I did that, which was actually a big thing. But again, see, all these this is the only area in my life where I've been sort of following my energy. Most other places I was trying to live like I was supposed to live or expected to live. So again, hypnotherapy at that point in time was a lot of money for me, given the situation I was in and whatever was happening. But I didn't question that. I just managed to find that money somehow, and the money also turns up somehow. And to decide what you want to do. That's another thing I've realized. So it's never about the money. It's about what you want to do, your choice.
Yeah.
Uh, so that took me about a year because there were 5 modules and I did them. I didn't do them all together, which was, I think, worked well for me because I could practice between each module whatever we were learning. Yeah, so hypnotherapy was a big turning point in my career and my life as well. Is that what you asked?
So what happens in hypnotherapy? Can you break the myths or the glamour of how people expect you to be hypnotized and
Yeah. So a lot of people have misconceptions about hypnosis or hypnotherapy itself, and so nothing scary happens to break the biggest myth. There's nothing you're not out of control throughout the session. You're always in control. You're always in control of what you're speaking. You're in control of whether you want to speak or not. When asked a question, you are in control enough to open your eyes and end the session whenever you want. So hypnosis is just a way to relax your conscious mind. So hypnotherapy is about uh, having access to the information that we have stored in our subconscious mind, which is where the cause of most of our conscious problems lie. So, for example, say you have a money issue currently that no matter what you do, you always feel that you don't have enough, or it's always coming and going, or whatever is your problem. And you can't understand why, because there's no cognitive reason for that to happen. You're earning a lot of money and still you still feel it's not enough or it's going away. So the cause could be, or most likely is, in the subconscious mind, which means you have a deep rooted belief which you are not aware of. So many of these things are in the subconscious mind which you're not aware of, which you have formed as a child. It's already settled in there. So things like what we hear in childhood from our parents or other authority figures who are important to us. So we hear things like money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work really hard to make money, rich people are really filthy, or whatever you made your belief system around that. So that won't let you enjoy the money that you have, or it won't let you make the money that you want once you grow up, because subconscious mind, they say, is around 6,000 times more powerful than the conscious. Even the volume wise, it's bigger.
Yeah.
So unless your subconscious mind is on the same page as what you want consciously, you're going to be in conflict about whatever it is that you want, what you say you want. So the one way to get both on the same page is to go have access to the subconscious mind, find out what's going on there, and resolve that. So hypnosis is just a way to relax you enough to get access into what's happening in your subconscious mind. And we have processes by which, interactive processes with the client, by which you resolve those. So then you see, once the subconscious mind is cleared of those false ideas and beliefs, then you see the change in your life as well.
Okay. So there are different kinds, like we do something with the authority figures, and there's something called the void that we do. Inner child healing, past life regression, energy work, body work. Everything is included. It's not just like mentalism. It is a lot more to do than mentalism.
It was called it's integrated hypnotherapy. I think it was very good. So when I did it, the institute was called CHII, that is California Hypnosis Institute of India. Now it's called ACA. It's a very good institute. I think if people want to learn hypnotherapy, they could do that. They also have the 5 modules that I learned over a period of 1 year, done in 1 month. I think once or twice a year these days.
Yeah, when I did it, I went ahead and did it for a month. There is a choice to do it either in a year, as and when you go, or you move in.
That's the difference between you and me.
I have very less patience. I have very less patience, I think, at that point of time. I just want everything quick, fast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you just go for it, which is good.
Yeah. And sometimes that also takes away the taste of enjoying the whole process also. That's what I've realized.
Yeah.
So now that I know that, I can get to choose a fast or a slow or a medium or whatever instead of just.
Follow the energy.
Yeah. So my question is also about a lot of other things that you do. I see a lot of books. Obviously, there are a lot of books thanks to your daughter, your husband, who's also a writer. Then, apart from that, I just see a lot of books on healing. When I come to your place, I see Byron Katie's work. I see family constellations. I see a lot with of reading that you do. So, can you tell more about both of these? At this point of time, I'm looking at you as one stop to understand the different variety
Supermarket.
of work available.
Like a supermarket.
Yes, at this point, yes. A one stop knowledge shop where you have explored and seen a lot of information that people don't know. There is counseling, there is psychotherapy, there's clinical psychology, there is hypnotherapy, there is something else. There's something beyond as well. So I'm going to shop for more information with you. So can you tell us about Byron Katie's work? Can you tell us about family constellation?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, Byron Katie's work I do on and off. I mean, mostly for myself. I look at it, or if somebody comes in and needs some help. It's very, um, it integrates all the things that we have learned, but the basic simple thing that I like about Byron Katie's statements is very small. It's just 4 questions she asked. But the idea is that whatever you think, the idea is your thoughts determine how you feel or what you experience. Because uh, if you're not thinking anything about anything, there's nothing, you're just being. Only when you start thinking, your experience changes. So if you're having good thoughts, then you feel good. If you're having shitty thoughts, then you feel uh, that way, messed up, or whatever it is that you're thinking. You suffer, basically. So your thoughts make you suffer. So she says, whenever you have a thought, and if you believe that thought, and that thought is not a good thought, and you believe that thought, you suffer. So before you believe your thought, just question it. Is it true?
Mm.
So you just question yourself. Okay, I'm believing, I don't know, for example, what? Somebody is not talking to me, so they hate me, or my mother's not talking, for example, not right now. But let's say my mother's not talking to me, and therefore I feel she doesn't care about me or she hates me. And that makes my life miserable because I carry that with me all the time, those thoughts. And I haven't even checked whether those thoughts are true or not. I haven't checked with her. I haven't even checked with myself that is this true or it's just something I'm telling myself because of whatever reason. So if you just question that thought and meditate on it, she says, not like answer from your head, but just go deep within and ask yourself, is this true? Is this even true? Why am I thinking this thought? So like that, there are 3-4 questions which will help you. So like radical forgiveness, whatever you're upset with, you start with that, write your thoughts about that in a format that she has given, and you just have to question each thought, and you get a totally different perspective, and you realize it's not so much about them or anyone else, but it's about you looking at yourself mostly. So that's very interesting.
And what about family constellations? How does that help?
Yeah. So family constellations again. I went to a lot of family constellations by Anuradha Ramesh in Hyderabad. She's also fantastic. So actually, I've been so lucky to have so many things happen to me in Hyderabad, happen to me which were actually for me. So Yeah, so I went to Anuradha Ramesh. She called it transgenerational healing. So that's when I first heard about that concept. That uh, that since we are all energy and we are all connected, so within families also, as a we have a energetic connection of the family group as such, like parents, grandparents, and so on. So the the unresolved issues of especially emotional stuff, unresolved stuff from past generations can carry forward because we are connected and the memory carries forward. So why does it carry forward? Is because it's not resolved, and when there is unresolved stuff in a family, the balance and the harmony in the family, that is a constellation, that is each one each member in a family actually needs only a couple of things for it to be in harmony, and thing that is each one needs to belong to that family, and each one needs to have a rightful place in that family, and need and has a right to live their life on their terms. So these are a few things based on which the family system works. But as we see, all that doesn't happen in families. People,
Yeah.
individuals don't get to experience that in families because we have a tendency to judge each other in families or throw people out of families because we don't like what they're doing, or because they're having affairs, or because they're marrying outside caste or community or religion or various other things. So there are a lot of reasons why the families lose the balance, and then it affects future generations. So why it carries on to future generations is because the family soul, as we call it, is trying to heal this
Aspect.
disharmony in the family. So this family soul is continuously trying to bring it back into balance. So because it
Okay.
had gone into imbalance, now how does it? Those people might have be dead and gone also. So how do we bring it into balance now? So that energy of that situation or that person is carried forward by, let's say, you or your generation, somebody, and they bring it up as a similar issue or a problem to be now accepted and reintegrated back into the thing, so that now there is balance and harmony. But if that chance opportunity is also lost and the current people in your life don't look at it, or you don't look at it, it will still carry forward further. So what it looks like as a current problem is that your life, if you're the one carrying stuff from your past generations, then your life will be affected in certain ways. So it could be your health that's affected, or your if you feel stuck in life, your work areas are affected, or your relationships are affected, and for no particular reason. So you can't understand why things are not moving. There's no apparent reason.
Right.
So family constellation is a very good place to uh, check, because there's almost always something that is unresolved in our families in the past generations, which some of which we could be carrying. It's not that everybody carries everything. It can skip generations also, or it can skip certain people. So, but it's worth exploring. It's very interesting. Even if it's not there, there's a lot of healing that happens, not just for you, but for your past ancestors and stuff like that. We have this concept of ancestral healing in our culture also. So it's something similar to that, but more cognitive, where all your senses are involved. You're like you experience that oneness and that love and all those things that we don't get to see in families normally. So you can actually see the
Basically,
bonding.
also to do the family constellation, you don't need family members also, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's very important. Yeah, so your family members will be picked from the group that is present there. So
Present.
you don't have to be vulnerable in front of your original family members if you have problems with them and you don't want them to be there.
So this is very interesting. When I first found therapy, or when somebody suggested therapy to work with, I was very confused as an individual because there were so many options available. And mental health generally in India or any other country is not, it's got a stigma to it.
Yeah.
That when you get a fever, you go to a doctor, but when you are feeling unwell in terms of emotions or you're having some serious thoughts, people don't consider it because there is no physical uh, presence about that. It's just all going on inside or it's invisible. So, is there anything that can be shared, like about how we can change that? I would really love to change that perspective. They say if two people are having a conversation about something, it begins to shift the possibilities of how people see things. So, what is the difference? Like you've done psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, there's a lot available. How does a person choose, okay, I can do something with self work, or how can I require another person to help me? So, where does that really come? You know, a lot of family members, I know, like, there are a lot of family members saying this person requires some, he needs to go to see a psychiatrist. The first thing they say is a psychiatrist. Whatever they mean is they require mental or emotional help. But there is also a stigma attached to it. How does one actually approach when, how, what can be done in that area?
Firstly, I think a lot of people today, I mean, it's changing. The mental health scene is changing. A lot of people today are going to various things. So a lot of people also think, I think they can work on it themselves, which is a good thing because a lot of stuff available, a lot of books available, a lot of things available on YouTube. But going to someone for help is always easier, I feel, than trying to do everything yourself. I mean, because if you're in the situation, if you're in the problem, it is a little difficult to step out and look at what is happening. Whereas if you go to someone else, they can be objective and they can very clearly see what's happening and what could be the best way to help you and do that. So I would highly recommend the people who work on themselves also to every now and then go, even if you're healthy. Otherwise, I'm not saying you have to have a lot of problems or be ready to admitted in psychiatric hospitals or whatever. But even otherwise, because the education system or the whatever family system as it is today, which is now changing, doesn't equip us to actually deal with life. We only learn that we are supposed to be educated, we are supposed to um, work, earn money, become as successful as we can, have a family, and then die. So we are never really, or at least in my generation, we were never really taught that we are supposed to take care of ourselves. We are supposed to look at what interests us. We are supposed to make choices that um, make us happy, and that will lead us to our path or purpose or whatever that is. So that never happened until I broke away from that reality of the rat race and the success and the materialism only kind of pursuit. Only then I realized that, okay, there's the whole new different world out here where you can actually be happy and not buy into all these ideas of what a good life is according to other people.
Yeah.
Each one of us can determine what is good for me and what is my life to me, and have the freedom to live that, whether it's a successful life according to other people's ideas or not.
Yeah.
So whether you want to have a lot of money or not depends on what kind of life you want to live, how much difference you want to make, whether you want to make a difference in your community and you are happy with that, that's fine. Or you want to make a difference to the whole world, then that's a choice that you have.
Right.
And once you make that choice, so again, so choosing therapists or choosing people to help you, counsel you, doctors, whatever, again, can, once you are in that space of I am free to choose my life. I think you can follow the energy there also and ask yourself, would it help me right now to meet another person who can guide me or take me there easier, faster than me struggling all the time to do everything myself. That's also another thing we learn, that it's a good thing to do everything yourself, or it shows
Being
your courage or
independent.
strength or independent or whatever, but that doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. It's
Yeah,
good that you can do everything.
being independent also means you're cutting off the connection and receiving from other people in that
Correct.
sense sometimes.
So there are a lot of people who can help you, who you can help. So if you just follow that, and it'll make your life easier for starters. So
Yeah.
instead of doing everything yourself. Yeah.
So when we talk
Yeah.
about talking to another person, people also, I've seen a lot of people mention, no, I talk to my friend, or I talk to my uncle, or I talk to my aunt, or my mother, or grandfather, or whatever. What is that you would like to say about that? Talking to a relative or a friend versus talking to a therapist or a healer or a certified
Yes.
professional.
So the main difference is that you get a very objective and precise help if you go to an outsider. Family is always, if it's involved in the issue, then you're going to get different points of view based on what they think is right or wrong.
Or
It's
a
not going to
bias.
what is, yeah, you're not going to get what is best overall in
So you're
terms of
saying that a third party person who is a certified professional, you get an unbiased, non-judgment space. Whereas where
ideally.
ideally and mostly if you're involved with a family or anybody else, you might land in a space which has a vested outcome.
That is, yeah, if you have, again, go with your energy. If you have somebody good to talk to in the family, and they're encouraging and they're positive and they're helpful and they don't put you down, it's a good place to talk to. But if you want professional help, then that's any day different from family. It's not to put down the family. Family is important because that's who you are with, and if they're helping you, that's good. I mean, if if talking to them makes you feel better, that is good. But if not,
Mm.
then don't talk to them. And yeah, another thing I'd like to say is money. A lot of people have issues about spending money on themselves to do therapy or other things, because it's not supposed to be one of the essential spending things. And spending has a lot of judgment in our culture, where what you spend on, what you don't spend on, what is a waste of money, what is not a waste of money. Spending on yourself most of the time is
Yeah.
not considered a great idea. I mean, people are not, especially family, will not be happy. So I would say, if you are spending on yourself, spending for counseling or therapy is one of the best ways to spend the money, because it grows you inside out, and you can earn as much money as you want once you feel good about yourself.
That's true.
So don't make money an issue. And if money is an issue, then choose a therapist that suits your pocket right now, because there are therapists who charge all kinds of money. So for the same 1 hour, you will have somebody who charges 1,000 or somebody who charges 1 lakh. So you have the range.
Mm.
So don't let that stop you.
If there were 3 tools that you would share, what would those be? Like straight out of the pocket. What are
Yeah,
your
of late,
go-to tools?
huh?
What are your 3
Yeah,
go-to
of
tools?
late, since I've started doing access consciousness for the last 6-8 months or so. Yeah, so one of the easiest things to do, which Access talks about, is being in a question. And the tools there are, what else is possible and how does it get better than this?
Oh,
So
wow.
which I've been telling everyone all around, and it's been helping me also. So the good thing about that is, yeah, we when something happens, we tend to have an opinion about it, or make a conclusion about something. Something happens and we say, okay, this is bad, or this should have happened, or whatever it is. So instead of that, they say in Access Consciousness, ask the question, be in the question, instead of deciding what it is or concluding what it is. If you just say what else is possible here, or just what else is possible, it's like opening up a closed door of your conclusions. With conclusion, you're like shut the door, and when you say what else is possible, it's like a whole new possibility opens up, or thousands of possibilities open up. So it's like a lot of space where which can take you through that into something else, instead of just shutting the door on whatever's happening and feeling miserable about having no choice.
Okay.
So that's something.
So how can people incorporate a space for themselves amidst chaos of whatever they're required to do, maybe as a daily activity, maybe? Do you have a ritual? Do you have something that you do? Would you recommend
I
a
don't
daily
have
ritual?
long-term rituals, but yeah, I have rituals which I change from time to time. So I do it like for some period of time and then it changes kind of. Yeah, one thing is a gratitude journal. Sometimes I don't do the journaling itself, but I do it mentally. But a gratitude journal is something that I would recommend. I think the whole world is recommending it now, but yeah, I started this about more than 2 years ago, where I picked up from whatever I was reading and all that. And I started this 30-day gratitude practice to get people into the habit of doing it. Because if I just say, just go and do a gratitude journal, it's difficult. So there are apps also nowadays, I think, for gratitude or whatever, something that can help you get into the habit of being in that attitude of gratitude. Because if you're not grateful for what you already have, what's the point in asking for something else? I mean, we say, I want this, I want that, I want that. But are you even looking at what you already have? Because if you have that, whatever you're asking for, you'll also add that to this pile and say, okay, I have this now, I want that. Do you even appreciate what you have and feel grateful for it, and for the life itself, for your body, for breathing, for being alive? Yeah. So the idea there is, whatever, the more you are grateful for, whatever you focus on, you expand that in your life. So the more you appreciate what you have, the more things you will have to appreciate in your life, which is what you want ultimately. Yeah. So the universe is like, okay, you don't appreciate what I've given you already. Why should I give you anything else? You just keep saying, I want more, I want more, I want more. But are you looking at what you have? So that can just become a way of life. So no matter what life throws at you, you can be grateful for that, because there's always something to be grateful for. Even in the apparently worst situation that happens, something comes out of it if you're open to that space. Like if you say what else is possible there, you'll find something to be grateful for. Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your time. And if somebody were to reach you for a class or a therapy or anything, where would they be able to reach you? Is there a website you want to talk about, and your number and email ID, so that we can post it along with it?
Yeah, the email ID is yellowbutterfly20152015 and my number is 98483444671. This is Hyderabad.
With an India code +91.
Yeah, India. Yeah.
And www.yellowbutterfly.in.
Yes. Thanks to Nivedita.
So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Recording done, I think.